Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for July 27, 2022, the Mexico Addressing Corruption edition. And we begin with that story from a first-time contributor, KRWG, the New Mexico State Public NPR station, has an article about Mexico is finally addressing corruption issues. Obviously, AMLO talked about this during his presidential run, but he has really not done anything since that time. And crime has increased. The tie between corruption and crime is well known, and cartels continue to operate with impunity in strategic parts of Mexico, shaking down business owners, politicians, and killing those who do not cooperate, with almost 98% of all violent crime in Mexico going unsolved. So finally, we have Mexico beginning to hear or talk about corruption. Some of the new presidential candidates for the next term have began frankly attacking corruption in their country. And this is the start of a conversation, obviously, but I hope Mexico will begin to address their own issues. Next up from Reuters, the SEC will not accept, and indeed the public PCAOB will not accept any restrictions on its access to audit papers of Chinese companies which are listed in New York, including firms that have been delisted. This is a long-running dispute between the U.S. and China, but the SEC is hanging tough on this, as well they should. Next up, Kraken, a U.S. crypto exchange, is under investigation, suspected of violating U.S. sanctions by allowing users in Iran and otherwhere to buy and sell digital tokens, according to people familiar with it. The Treasury Department's OFAC has been investigating Kraken since 2019 and is expected to impose a stern fine against Kraken. If this does occur, it'll be one more nail in the ongoing coffin for cryptocurrency, certainly with the recession and fall in values and now perhaps criminal behavior of those in the industry. It's going to be a long time before they can finally get some traction. And our final story comes to us from the Wall Street Journal, as KPMG has filed $17.3 million by the Financial Reporting Council in the United Kingdom for failures around its Carillion and Regenesis audits. So more bad news for KPMG, continued audit problems and audit failures, with the FRC issuing a stern fine going forward. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.